In this week's Coffee with the Candidates, I met up with gubernatorial candidate Hunter Lundy to chat over coffee at Frank's restaurant about where he stands on key voter issues, including the state's insurance crisis, income taxes, and crime. Here's what Hunter Lundy has to say about moving the state forward. Hunter Lundy is a trial attorney running as the only independent candidate for Louisiana governor. He was born, raised, and currently lives in Lake Charles and has worked as a personal injury attorney with his own firm for more than 30 years. Hunter Lundy, thank you so much for joining me here at Frank's restaurant for our little coffee chat. So before we get started, how about a fresh cup of coffee?
I would love one.
All right.
Thank you, Karen.
Gotta have coffee at Frank's.
Yeah.
Okay, so here are the ground rules for the viewers, just so you know. Each one of our candidates got the same 5 questions ahead of time. Each one of our candidates has 7 minutes total to answer the 5 questions. We will be timing this. I will be keeping track of time and reminding the candidates as the clock runs. So, are we ready?
We're ready.
All right, well, let's take a sip and we'll get started. So I am going to officially start the timer, and here we go. First question. Louisiana is experiencing an insurance crisis as auto, property, and flood insurance rates continue to rise, and some insurance companies have quit writing policies altogether. How will you address the affordability and the accessibility of insurance for Louisianians?
I'll start with the auto question because you gave me the questions. So we have the number 2 highest premiums paid in the nation in Louisiana for auto insurance. And it's because our roads are terrible. So Louisiana's pays $600 more a year than everybody else in the country on repairs to cars. So your auto insurance is dictated a lot by your roads, and our roads are terrible. On the property question, you know, I've represented hundreds, if not thousands of people after Katrina, after Rita, after Laura, Delta, and Ida. And, you know, it wasn't until this recent cycle in 2020 and 2021 that we really saw bad actors. And the actors were the insurance companies that would not advance money. And so we can't have that. We gotta work with them. And yes, the legislature's done some good things to try to reduce that with the roof program. But I'll sit at the table with any carrier, anywhere in the country and in the world. I know them personally. And so we'll get the property rates down for the citizens of Louisiana. And so there's a plan. I have a plan. We don't have time for me to explain it. But I'll work with the insurance commissioner, and I'll remind him his duties to the consumer, not to the insurance company. And I will remind him as to the flood insurance, our U.S. senators have filed legislation to change this 2.0 formula, which they need to change. But I'll tell the citizens of Louisiana, you can go online right now, and there are other carriers other than NFIP that you can get flood insurance from, and it's cheaper than going through the National Flood Insurance Program.
All right, so moving on, with the state's temporary 0.45 sales tax set to expire in mid-2025, declining gas taxes people pay at the pumps, and other changing circumstances affecting our tax structure, some say Louisiana is headed toward a fiscal cliff. What is your plan to create a sustainable tax base and a competitive tax environment?
So we'll never have a cliff. You know, we're designed legislatively and constitutionally that we will never have one. That's always great political rhetoric for people to say that. But I've said from the beginning that I want to get rid of state income tax for 65 years and older residents that make less than $250,000 a year. We'll offset that removal of that tax by keeping them to stay here and not move to Texas, not move to Florida, and we'll be compensated through property insurance. Now, as far as a tax structure, I'm for renewing the 0.45 sales tax. We need to renew that, and the reason why is we need to pay our teachers, our police, and our firemen. And then what's left over, we need to fix our roads with, and that fixing the roads is going to reduce our insurance costs. So that's my plan with respect to the 0.45 sales tax.
All right, Louisiana has some of the highest incarceration and recidivism rates in the nation. How are you going to lower crime and improve public safety?
Well, if you've seen the push card, I basically say that education, crime, and poverty, they're all linked. We can use education to to attack poverty. We reduce poverty in Louisiana. We change the perception. We have economic growth when we reduce poverty. We also reduce incarceration with education. We know that a child's brain is formed, you know, by the time they're 3, they're 80% formed. By the time they're 5, it's 90% formed. So we need children to get out of the 4th grade and read. And if they can't read, they're in a pipeline to prison. So literacy and incarceration match up. So while they're incarcerated, they want to get out. We want them to be out. We got to make sure they have a GED, they may have a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree. We know that a 4-year degree reduces recidivism down to 9%. 2-year degree reduces it to 14%. So education is the key to helping the recidivism in Louisiana. They need a job, and they need a place to live, and they'll never go back.
So we have a little less than 3 minutes left. Two questions, Hunter. Recent studies show that sea levels are rising faster than we can rebuild the coast. It's a consequence of climate change. Renewable energy sources such as wind, water, and solar power could help combat climate change. What is your stance on developing renewable energy sources in Louisiana?
Well, I'm for them. I'm for the oil and gas community as well. You know, we're letting the market dictate what we need to do in Louisiana, and that's the right way. I'm a capitalist. So you got Shell doing the biodiesel plant. We've got CO2 storage and sequestration. This week it was announced in Southwest Louisiana that they're going to build a multi-$100 billion CO2 sequestration facility. We have a lot of salt in Southwest Louisiana. So I can go on and on. We also have the manufacturing plants to build the metal that's necessary for the windmills. I know that the windmill bids are going out of Cameron Parish in Southwest Louisiana now. So I'm all for renewable energy. I'm all for our oil and gas. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's who we are, that's what we were based on, but we do both. And my job as the next governor is to get every dollar I can and to keep every person in with a job and to help the economy, reduce the poverty, and educate our children. And so that's kind of the way I look at it. Now, as far as this coastal restoration, we've already started it, we've got the money to do it, but I'm clear about accountability. We need those that cut those canals through our marshes, thousands of canals through the marshland.
All right.
They haven't been fixed.
I'm going to cut you off here because we got 1 minute left and I want to get this last question in.
All right, go ahead.
Recent studies show young people are moving out of Louisiana for better educational and business opportunities and quality of life. How do you intend to stop this so-called brain drain and make Louisiana more attractive for younger generations? And you have 50 seconds.
All right. First of all, choose your words carefully. You know, words do matter. I did agree with a president on one thing that he said. So the brain drain is a cliche that we should not be using, and no political candidate should be using it. Because my kids are here. I have a son that's a ship captain. I got a daughter that teaches in college. I got a son that's a fire captain. I have 6 grandchildren. They're all planted in Louisiana. We love Louisiana. We're going to stay here in Louisiana. They were all educated in Louisiana. One graduated from Tech, one from LSU, one from McNeese. So we're going to do that. When you change the perception of Louisiana, when we get rid of poverty, we're going to do it through education. When we reduce recidivism, they're coming back. People are going to be moving here. We have the greatest natural resources in the United States. We should be at the top, not the bottom.
And that is well said. And that is time, 7 minutes. Thank you. Right. Now, before we go, I have one final question for you.
All right.
Biscuits or beignets?
Biscuits. I prefer biscuits.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This program is made possible in part by Frank's Restaurant, a place known for the gathering of friends, family, and colleagues, where deals are signed over a handshake and a biscuit. For information on catering, menus, and locations, go to franksrestaurantla.com.